I think this is a case-by-case situation, and I think that's how I've been seeing it adopted in the community. For me, just thinking about patient characteristics that will help me decide. For a patient who maybe has oligometastatic bone disease, they're ER positive, HER2 positive, that's a patient where maybe I would choose the CLEOPATRA regimen and then go to HP maintenance with endocrine therapy plus a CDK4/6 inhibitor like the PATINA regimen. And then we also saw a very impressive PFS in that trial as well. And that is arguably probably a more tolerable long-term maintenance regimen. So I think for those people where I think asymptomatic, minimal disease burden, triple positive, probably going to be on therapy for a long time. De novo disease, so this isn't disease that occurred despite previous HER2 targeted therapy. I think those are patients where I'm still leaning more towards the CLEOPATRA regimen, but for almost everybody else, leaning towards the DB09 regimen.
Well, and you're an academic practitioner like me, and it's hard for me to find or remember a patient that didn't make it to a second line, where if they didn't get this drug in the first line, we have the option to give it in the next line. I'm assuming that's the same for you.
Yeah.
But we know in the kind of the real world, lots more challenges for patients to get guideline concordant care. We see this huge drop off of people even getting to a second line. So, thoughts on that, I guess, which is how do we educate our colleagues to say it doesn't have to end after the first line, or what's going on in that first line where they're not even making it to a second line?
It's interesting because in DB09, in the CLEOPATRA arm, only about 10% of patients ever went on to get T-DXd. So I think some people have had the question, do you really need T-DXd in the front line, or do you really just need it at all? And maybe the trial doesn't answer that question. But like you mentioned, many patients in the trial never got to second line therapy. And that's also what we see from real world data, that, at least a quarter of patients aren't ever getting to second line. And whether that's because by the time they progress, they're just not able to receive next line therapy, I don't know. But I think that's another reason why we should really be leaning into using our best therapies as early as possible, because it's possible that if we start with something else, the patients are never going to get to T-DXd.
Yeah, I agree. This is why I'm always cautious about what I do in my practice is very, very much not the real world. And so I have to be careful because in addition to these lines of therapies, we often have clinical trials and things that we can extend and extend and extend. So we take it for granted that a second line is going to happen. In the real world, at least a quarter of the patients apparently are not even getting to that line of therapy. That's unacceptably too high.
Oh,
so getting the right best therapy out of the gate makes a lot of sense.